find the inverse matrix of A for this given matrix, or show that there's no inverse exists. So here's the given matrix A, and you have to find the inverse matrix of this one. So first of all, you need to augment this with a base matrix or identity matrix I, which is written in this form: the one in diagonal line and the 0 entries for the rest. Okay, so the goal is to get the left side looks similar like the right side, 1 in diagonal line, okay, and the rest are 0. So first we need to have the 1 for the first row, first column, which we already had here. That is good. So for the first step, rewrite it, so which I already rewrote it, and then get 0 entries, make these entries become 0. So how? Okay, let me do it step by step here. Okay, let me cover the third and the fourth rows. Okay, so to make this become 0, add the first and second rows together. So 1 minus 1 0, 2 plus 0 2, 3 plus 2 5, 1 plus 1 2, 1 plus 0 1, 0 plus 1 1, 0 0 0 0 0 0. Okay, now that is for the second row. Now for the third row, to make it become 0, multiply the first row by -2 and add it up onto the third row. -2 times 1, -2 plus 2, 0, -2 times 2, -4 plus 1, -3, -2 times 3, -6, minus 3, -9, -2 times 1, -2 plus 0, -2, -2 times 1, -2 plus 0, -2, 0 0 0, 0 plus 1 1, 0 plus 0 0. Okay, now for the fourth row, you are going to do the same thing. Multiply, so to make this become 0, multiply the first row by -1 and add it up onto the fourth row. -1 plus 1 0, -2 plus 1 -1, -3 plus 2 -1, -1 plus 1 0, -1 plus 0 -1, 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 plus 1 1. Okay, now let's move on to the next matrix. Now we have this one pivot of 1 and 0 all the way down. Now the next pivot is this one, and you need to make it become 1. Well, normally you would divide this by 2 to get 1, right? But if I did that, I would get fractions for these, and instead of doing that, I will take a general look over the whole matrix and find if I can see if I can find a 1. So I looked over this matrix and I see that I have 1 right here, so it would be right if this one is here. So well, it's possible. So what I'm going to do is to multiply the fourth row by -1 and move it. Remember, you move it up here to replace the second row, and the second row and the third row move down. Okay, so here's what I meant by that. Rewrite the first row. Okay, for the second row and the third row, rewrite it, but in the third row, in the fourth row of this matrix. Now for this row, let me cover these. For this row, multiply the whole row by -1 and move it into the second row. So you have 0 1 1 0 1 0 0 -1. Okay, all right, so here's my new matrix. Now this becomes my pivot. So you know that the next step is to make entries above and below 1 0. So let's do the above entry first. To make this become 0, multiply the second row by -2 and add it up onto the first row. 0 1, -2 plus 2 0, -2 plus 3 1, 0 plus 1 1 1, -2 plus 1 -1, 0 0 0 0, -2 times -1 +2. Okay. Okay, now for the entry below 1, to make it become 0, same thing again. Multiply the third row by multiply the second row by -2 and add it up onto the third row. 0 0 0, -2 plus 2 0, -2 plus 5 +3, 0 plus 2 2, -2 plus 1 -1, 0 plus 1 1, 0 0 0, -2 times -1 +2 plus 0 +2. Okay. Alright, now for the last row, To make this become 0, multiply second row by positive 3 and add it up onto the fourth row. So you have 0, 0, 0. 3 minus 3, 0. 3 minus 9, negative 6. 0 minus 2, negative 2. 3 minus 2, 1, 0, 0. 0 plus 1, 1. Negative 3 plus 0, negative 3. Okay. Now let's move on to the next matrix. Now I have this one, and then the 0 for entries above and below 1. Now the next one will be this one, and our goal is to make it become 1. Okay, so literally you just divide the whole row by 3, right? So if I did that, I got 1, 2 divided by 3, negative 1/3, 0, 2 divided by 3, right? And rewrite the first, second, and the fourth rows, okay? Which I already did here. So basically, during this step, I just divide the third row by 3 and rewrite the rest. Now let's move on this one. So now this becomes your pivot. So your next step is to make entries above and below become 0. So let me do it. Let me do the last row first. Multiply the third row by 6, add it up onto the fourth row. So you have 0, 0. 6 minus 6, 0. 6 times 2/3 gives me 4 minus 2, positive 2. 6 times negative 1/3, negative 2 plus 1, negative 1. 6 times 1/3, 2 plus 0, 2. 6 times 0, 0 plus 1, 1. 6 times 2/3, 4 minus 3, 1. Okay? Now, for the above entry, to make this become 0, multiply this row, the whole row by negative 1 and add it up onto the second row. So I have 0, 1, negative 1 plus 1, 0, negative 2/3 plus 0, negative 2/3, negative 1 times negative 1/3, positive 1/3 plus 1, 4/3, 1, negative 1/3 plus 0, negative 1/3, 0, negative 2/3, minus 1, negative 5/3. Alright. Now for this one, to make this become 0, again multiply the third row by negative 1 and add it up onto the first row. So you have negative 1 plus 1, 0, negative 2/3 plus 1, 1/3, negative 1 times negative 1/3, positive 1/3, minus 1, negative 2/3, negative 1/3 plus 0, negative 1/3, 0 plus 0, 0, negative 2/3 plus 2, positive 4/3. Okay? That's simple, right? Alright, let's move on. Alright, so you see that you have one diagonal line and zeros on top and the bottom. The next step is to make this become 1. Well, basically you just divide by 2, right? Or multiply by 1/2. Different way of saying that. So if I did that, I got 0, 0, 0, 1, negative 1/2, 1, 1/2, 1/2, and then rewrite first, second, and the third rows. Okay? So that's literally, I just did one row for the whole matrix and nothing else. Alright, let's move on to the last matrix. So now this becomes my pivot. So, oh my bad, this should be okay. Now this becomes my pivot. So the next step is to make all entries above 1 become 0. Okay, let's do this first. So to make this become 0, multiply the fourth row by negative 2/3 and add it up onto the third row. So if I did that, I got negative 2/3 plus 2/3, 0. Negative 2/3 times negative 1/2 gives me negative 1/3, negative 1/3, a positive 1/3 minus 1/3, 0. Negative 2/3 plus 1/3, negative 1/3. Negative 2/3 times 1/2, negative 1/3 plus 0, negative 1/3. Negative 2/3 times 1/2, negative 1/3 plus 2/3 gives me 1/3. Okay, that's why I hate to do fractions. Now let's make this become 0. Multiply the fourth row by 2/3 and add it up onto the second row. 2/3 plus negative 2/3, 0. 2/3 times negative 1/2, negative 1/3 plus 4/3, 3/3, which is 1. 2/3 minus 1/3, 1/3. 2/3 times 1/2, 1/3 plus 0, 1/3. 2/3 times 1/2 1/3 minus 5 over 3 gives me negative 4 over 3. Okay, alright, last one. To make this become 0, multiply the fourth row by negative 1/3 and add it up onto the first row. Negative 1/3 plus 1/3 0. Negative 1/3 times negative 1/2 positive 1/6 minus 2/3 gives me negative 1/2. Negative 1/3 minus negative 1/3 negative 2/3. Negative 1/3 times 1/2 negative 1/6 plus 0 negative 1/6. Negative 1/3 times 1/2 negative 1/6 plus 4 over 3 gives me 7 over 6. Alright, so lastly, you got diagonal line of 1, the base matrix equal this, so the right side is your A inverse.
If you find the video is helpful, feel free to give it a like, share, and subscribe to my channel in order to receive the most current videos. Don't forget to hit the bell so that you won't miss anything. I'll see you next time.